Friends, the way people are using Earth's resources recklessly today, without any restrictions, is alarming. Every possible harm is being done, and the day is not far when we may have to face things we once heard only in stories. But what if those things become real? What will our world look like then? In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, we see a team led by a man named Jack, collecting ice samples. Suddenly, a powerful jolt causes a massive crack in the ice, and all their machinery falls into it, including the precious samples. Jack, risking his life, jumps into the crack to retrieve them, because they are extremely valuable. The scene shifts to a world leaders meeting in New Delhi, where Jack shares his findings. He had visited Antarctica and discovered that the largest glacier there is melting at an alarming rate. 70% of it has already turned into water. He warns that immediate action is required, or this could become a global catastrophe. When he suggests taking action, the UN chief asks who will fund such an expensive mission. No country is willing to step up. Jack then warns that the Earth's temperature is going to drop drastically, leading to a new ice age. The sun might not appear for years. People could die from cold and starvation, and if decisions aren't made soon, the consequences will be devastating. Entire regions of Earth could sink underwater. 2 months later, we see a weather report showing a sudden 13 degrees C drop in temperature in one area. Shocked, the analyst calls his senior. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, heavy rain had been falling for days, but now something even stranger happens. Large chunks of ice begin falling from the sky, as if someone were throwing them down. Many people are injured, and no one knows what's happening. Back at home, Jack finds out that his highly intelligent son, Henry, has been failed in school. Jack is surprised, because Henry is smarter than his teacher. He even scolds the teacher over the phone. Henry is about to travel to New York for a quiz show, so he boards a plane. During the flight, the passengers feel a sudden jolt, but everything calms down, and they land in New York. Due to heavy traffic, the children get out and start walking. Suddenly, Henry sees something terrifying in the sky. Thousands of birds, flying away, screaming, as if they've seen something and are trying to warn everyone. But people dismiss it, thinking the birds are just migrating due to the cold. Henry heads into his quiz competition. Meanwhile, a senior professor arrives at the location where a strange temperature drop had been reported. At first, he thinks it might be a mechanical glitch, but soon, similar drops are recorded in 4 different locations, which is very alarming. How can the temperature drop so rapidly? In New York, the weather continues to worsen. Strong storms are forming, and a massive blizzard may strike soon. The professor immediately contacts Jack. They were all present at the Delhi meeting. He tells Jack that what he predicted is now happening. The ocean temperatures are falling. Cold winds from the north are sweeping in, and the melting glaciers have become vast volumes of water. Jack says that it's impossible. Such events were predicted to be decades away, but when he sees the reports the professor sends, he's shaken to the core. This was all really happening. Jack said that what's happening now had occurred 10,000 years ago. But now, what's the solution? Even they didn't know. On the other side, we see the weather department warning everyone living in Los Angeles to evacuate immediately, as winds moving at a speed of 70 km/h were approaching and would blow everything away. And that warning proves to be true. As we witness, it's terrifying. Not just 1 or 2, but several tornadoes begin ripping Los Angeles apart from its roots, killing thousands of people. All return flights are cancelled, meaning Henry is now stranded there. Meanwhile, meetings resume, because the storm had temporarily calmed. At this time, the head of the United Nations also attends the meeting, where Jack explains that everything happening right now was predicted by his theory, but it was supposed to happen 100 years later. He admits he was wrong, because cracks have now formed in the Northern Ocean's rocks, causing massive glaciers to melt. The resulting water is unimaginably cold and abundant. No one can fathom its potential impact, but nobody pays attention to Jack's warning. Before leaving, he tells everyone, "We are sitting on the edge of a catastrophic climate shift. Get ready. Everything is about to change." Some people agree with him, so he asks them to join him. Together, they conduct several hours of research using Jack's self-developed models. The next day, Jack goes to the vice president to try to convince him that the cities need to be evacuated immediately. Something unimaginable is going to happen within the next 20 to 25 days. But the president rejects Jack's warning, saying, "You said the same thing in Delhi too. According to your theory, this was supposed to happen after 100 years. Your theory was wrong, so why should I believe anything you say now?" Jack is heartbroken. He knows exactly what's coming. We then see the royal family of London flying in 3 helicopters toward Russia. But suddenly, the temperature drops drastically, freezing everything. The helicopter carrying the royal family ices over and stops functioning. Within moments, no one knows what happened to them. Perhaps they were buried somewhere beneath the snow. The entire royal family is presumed lost. Jack, however, remains immersed in his research. No matter what, he wants to get to the root of this and find out how long it will last. Meanwhile, in New York, things are rapidly changing. The rain intensifies, sewer systems overflow, and a huge surge of ocean waves approaches. Henry quickly runs into a building, but also stops to save some stranded people along the way. We then witness a scene that might very well come true in the future. The ocean leaves its boundaries and begins reclaiming its ancient path. The Statue of Liberty is submerged underwater. All of New York sinks into the ocean in mere moments. In another scene, Jack discovers that within the next 24 hours, 3 more cyclones, as large as the Burj Khalifa, are on their way. He sends reports to the professor and warns everyone that these tornadoes will spread across the globe within 48 hours. Once the world freezes over, and if we are lucky enough to survive, we might witness a new Earth, one covered entirely in snow, with temperatures plunging below 70 degrees. He urges, act as soon as possible. Get out of there because it's coming right toward you. But the professor refuses, saying it's too late now. Meanwhile, Henry is trying to save his own life. On the other side, John keeps trying to contact him, and eventually he succeeds. So Henry asks his dad, "Is it the same situation there too?" His dad replies, "Yes. All this will continue for a while. You have to take care of yourself. Stay inside the house as much as possible and try not to go out because the temperature is dropping rapidly." Angelina is with Henry, and she immediately tells him to come ashore because the water is rising. So, saying goodbye to them, he makes it to the shore. His parents feel relieved that at least their son is alive, because more than half of New York's population has perished. Suddenly, the people present there hear a loud crashing noise. They rush to the window and are stunned to see a massive cargo ship now sailing through the streets of New York. Meanwhile, Jack decides that he will go to New York to save his daughter, otherwise she will die. Although the others try to stop him, he doesn't listen. Just then, one of his seniors, who works with him at NASA, shows up and informs Jack that the president wants to speak with him. They want him to explain what needs to be done. At first, Jack refuses, but later he agrees to go. There, he tells everyone that this storm will continue for the next 10 days. And when it ends, we'll be in an era where something like America won't exist on this planet. In other words, we'll enter a new ice age. The president asks, "What should we do now?" Jack replies, "We need to head south as far as possible. But there are still some people stuck in the north. That place has become like a graveyard. If you send someone there, they'll never return. All we can do is pray they stay indoors and survive." Jack sets out to reach them, and here the president gives the order to the army to go north and bring as many people back as possible. But now they have to relocate the entire population of America to another place, and that too within a few days. It's a massive, nearly impossible task. In the building where Jack was staying, there were many others too, suffering from hunger and extreme cold. One day, they look outside and see that the water that had flooded in is now completely frozen. So, all the people start moving south, following the government's orders, because that area is safe. But the way they're traveling is wrong. They can't go on foot in such freezing temperatures. Henry tells this to everyone there as well. So most of the people start leaving with the group. But Henry decides to stay with his friends because his father had promised he would come. And the longer they stay indoors, the better their chances of survival. People burn books to stay warm and find a little peace as they wait. But Sam tells Henry that his dad isn't going to come. He says the northern area is completely destroyed, and all of Las Vegas is buried under 15 feet of snow. How can he come? But Henry is sure that his dad will come, so he keeps holding on to that hope. Meanwhile, Henry and his old team set out because they know how to survive in such icy places. But the roads are covered with several feet of snow, causing their car to get stuck and refusing to move. So they leave the car and continue on foot. They've covered themselves completely, so they can't see what lies ahead. Because of this, the person walking at the back steps on a glass surface that breaks, and they all start to fall in since they're tied to each other. But Jack hooks himself just in time and stops the fall. However, they now have to drop all their gear, including their food and water. Jack's friend doesn't want to leave the gear behind, but Jack convinces him that if he doesn't, they'll all die. He agrees, and they move forward. Back with Henry, he's now worried because their books, used for burning and warmth, are about to run out. Angelina calls him over. Both of them are deeply in love. Henry stayed behind for her because she's injured and can't walk. But there's a bigger problem. The infection in her leg is spreading, and they don't have the medicine they need. Then Sam tells them a cargo ship has arrived, and maybe it contains what they're looking for. They wrap themselves in all the clothes they can find and make it to the ship. But as they're returning, they're attacked by 2 wolves that escaped from the zoo. One of their friends is injured, but they manage to drag him back inside. Meanwhile, we see astronauts in space observing the storm. From their perspective, it looks like a horrifying nightmare. The entire Earth is covered in a sheet of ice. All of Jack's companions are dead. He's the only one left, but they can't move forward because the storm is at its peak, so they set up camp and rest. 2 days later, when the storm calms a bit, they come outside and are shocked. The place looks like a frozen city. Everything is covered in snow. Huge ships are frozen in place, and tall buildings are buried. But Henry is still determined to reach his son, no matter what. He continues moving forward. Along the way, he finds several frozen bodies, people who were walking south but died due to the cold. After much struggle, they finally find the library where the others had taken shelter. But when they enter, it's completely silent. Henry shines his flashlight around and suddenly sees light coming from a room. Inside, everyone is sleeping around a fire. When Henry's son sees him, He runs to hug him and says, "Dad, you did it. Thank you so much." Both father and son get emotional and start crying. Soon after, helicopters arrive to rescue them. On the other side, we're shown that the vice president has now become president because the former one died in the storm. Everyone is now in Mexico, where the new president gives a speech. He says, "I made a big mistake by ignoring Jack's warnings, and we made another mistake by destroying nature. If we had taken the right steps earlier, this would have never happened. But from today, we'll put all our effort into rebuilding America." This incident teaches everyone a lesson that everything is created by the higher power, and no one is more powerful than that. If nature strikes, even a country as powerful as America can be destroyed. That's why they say, protect nature, and it will protect you. Well, how did you like the story? Do let us know in the comments. See you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.